this is Katie. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about scary moments living in my car. There have been a ton of you guys over the years who have asked me questions about what is scary about living in my car, how to stay safe, or even just will leave comments like, isn't it scary? Aren't you scared living in your car? Aren't you scared traveling around by yourself, driving around by yourself? And so I wanted to tell you guys a few of the things that I've encountered that have been scary, and then also just talk about how to like minimize your fear and minimize, you know, bad things that could happen to you. So if you're interested in scary things / preventing scary things, then just keep watching. Oh, and make sure that you're subscribed so you see more videos about living in my car and traveling and road trips and all that kind of stuff. Cool. Okay, so if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you would know that I've done 2 videos on like scary things that have happened while I traveled. One was that I encountered a bison on a hike, terrifying, and one was like a really scary drive up a mountain in Big Sur. It was the middle of the night, it was dark, I couldn't see anything, there were like cliffs, it was terrifying. And I made those videos years ago, but I've never really talked about the fears and the bad things really that could happen when you live in your car, because I live in my car, right? This is my house. But I feel like a lot of you guys are gonna be really surprised when I say that I have not really had many scary experiences at all in terms of living or sleeping in my car. And so the only things that I can even talk about that are remotely scary, they weren't really scary to me, but I feel like the idea of them could be scary, but like when they actually happened, I wasn't really afraid, were when people knocked on my window when I was asleep. And so that has happened 3 times. I'm pretty sure I've told you guys about all 3 times, like in separate videos from a while ago. But so 2 of them happened like, gosh, like 5 years ago or something. One was in Portland and one was in California, but they were within just a couple months of each other. And it was because I was sleeping outside of a grocery store and a cop just ended up knocking on my window both times and just saying, hey, you can't sleep here. The one in Portland, he just said, hey, you can't sleep here, you gotta go. Super nice, like not mean, not threatening, just like, hey, you can't sleep here, gotta go. The one in California, I was actually with my friend at the time and we were sleeping and he knocked on the window and he's like, yeah, you can't sleep here again. He's like, but I'll just let you sleep here the rest of the night. And so again, not mean, not like even really scary. It was just a little like when you wake up middle of the night because of a knock on the window, like it is going to jolt you a little bit, but it wasn't really scary to me, and I'll explain why in a second. But so the 3rd time that someone knocked on my window was a video that I actually did last summer. It happened at a truck stop in California. Was it California? Yeah, California. And that was the only time I've ever been kicked out of a truck stop. And it was like the manager or something at the truck stop knocked at my window and said that he was kicking everyone out of that truck stop. And yeah, again, so I just left and then I went across the street and slept at Starbucks for a few hours and it was totally fine. And so the reason that these things weren't very scary to me, because I'm sure the idea of sleeping and then having a cop knock on your window in the middle of the night sounds scary. I totally get that. And I feel like, excuse me, and I totally feel like even if I heard that story and it wasn't me, I would probably be like, ooh, that sounds like it would like make you anxious or make you scared. I think the main reason that I wasn't really scared when it happened any of those times was because I feel like the main thing that you have to do when you live in your car, when you travel by yourself, when you're on the road, when you sleep in your car, the main thing is you kind of have to have your guard up at all times. And you kind of have to have like your feelers out. You have to pay attention to everything at all times. And I feel like if you're doing that, you are minimizing the bad things that can happen. Obviously, bad things can happen and dangerous things can happen to anyone, whether you live in a house and you have 3 dogs or whether you live in a car by yourself. Like, bad things can happen to anyone, anywhere. But there are things, especially depending on where you are, but there are always things that you can do to minimize the danger of the thing that you're doing, i.e. living and sleeping in a car. To just kind of finish that first portion of the video, I have 2 other mini stories that maybe I've talked about before, but if not, they'll be very brief, of things that were a little like sketchy. Like they weren't scary, but they were like a little sketchy. So one was, again, you guys know, sleep at truck stops, but I don't sleep right in front of the store. I kind of sleep if it's like a big parking lot, that's where I sleep. And I sleep kind of like near the road or in the back or whatever. Not the back, the front, like the, you guys know what I mean. Like there's always, like there's parking spaces like on the perimeter. But there was one time that I pulled up and I parked right in front of the store to use the restroom at like a Pilot or whatever. And then when I came out, there was a guy parked right next to me and he saw me walking to get into my car and he saw that I was alone and he started to kind of like catcall me a little bit or like hit on me a little bit. And so again, you always have to have your guard up. And so my initial reaction was to get into my car, start my car, and drive away and leave that truck stop. I wasn't going to just drive to the perimeter of the truck stop, park again, and go to sleep, because that guy who I didn't know, who was kind of catcalling me, saw me get into my car by myself and just, you know, he would have seen me drive 40 feet to a parking space and park there by myself. That would not have been safe. And so I would not have done that. And so I got into my car and I left and I went to a different truck stop. That's kind of the same with if you get to a truck stop and anything seems a little sketchy, if there's like a bunch of police cars or like a bunch of security cars or a lot of people hanging out outside or something, again, have your guard up. If you don't feel safe somewhere, don't stay there. Go somewhere else. But yeah, so the other story that was, again, a little, which this, honestly, this second story could have gone pretty bad, but it didn't. So I was at a rest area, which are a little more hit or miss for me. The bigger ones I'm okay with, but like the smaller ones that are really just like a bathroom and like a parking lot, I'll go as like a last resort to sleep, but I will rarely go inside and use the restroom at night. But one day I did, and I was in like Ohio, I think, like a year ago or something, a year or two, I don't know. And I woke up at like 2 in the morning or so to use the restroom, or midnight. Maybe it wasn't even that late, but it was, you know, like it wasn't like 6 p.m. It was like midnight or 2 or something. And I got out of my car to use the restroom. And then as I was walking back to my car, some guy was walking to the restroom. So like I was walking back to my car, he was walking to the restrooms. So he passed me, and he was, you know, I was like 30, 31, and he was probably mid-20s. And he said hi to me, and I just said hi, and I kept walking. And then I can't remember the exact scenario, but he ended up like turning around and being like, you know, like, hey, you're really pretty, or something like that, and like tried to see if he could get my number. And I, you know, I said no, but he just kind of kept talking, and he was being polite, he was being kind, but again, I had my guard up, because I'm like, first of all, it's the middle of the night and a stranger man is talking to me. Whether it's a man or woman, a stranger is talking to me in the middle of the night at a rest area. And he ended up telling me, he ended up admitting to me that he was at that rest stop with his friends to do drugs. And I was like, what the heck? And so I ended up, you know, like being able to just leave the situation. Nothing happened. He was still, again, very kind. He didn't even seem like creepy. He didn't even seem like he was on drugs yet at all. He seemed like a guy who was having a conversation, told me he was with his friends to do drugs. And then I ended up, you know, leaving, getting to my car, and I left. I know a lot of you guys in the comments can be like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. Like, I can't believe that you even talked to him. I know, but again, there were tons of cars around. I did not feel like I was in danger. He did not do anything to make me feel like I was in danger. But at the same time, my guard was up. I was very like, I knew where I was and I knew what I was doing. That's really the only thing that has been remotely scary for me ever in my whole time living and sleeping in my car, besides, again, those few travel things that I mentioned. Like, certain drives are kind of scary if they're in cliffs or whatever, but I'm talking specifically about living and sleeping in my car. I really, at least in the past, knock on wood, I'm not trying to like jinx my future, but at least in the past few years that I've been doing this, or several years that I've been doing this, I've never really had anything scary happen. And I know a lot of people, again, a lot of people think that, oh, well, truck drivers are dangerous, or homeless people wandering out outside might be dangerous, or you kind of never know who might break into your car, stuff like that. And again, I've just never encountered that. And I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I've never encountered it. I've never had an issue with a truck driver before. I've never had an issue with really other people around me before. I've never had anyone break into my car before. Again, knock on wood, because you never know what could happen today. But I've never had anyone break into my car. I've never had anyone seem suspicious near my car. I've just never had anything really dangerous happen. Again, like, the most important thing is have your guard up. Always know where like your important things are. Have your keys in your hand. And for me personally, I don't like to sleep where there aren't other people. Some people do. Some people like sleeping on like residential streets and stuff. I don't like doing that, but also because I like being near bathrooms just in case. So I don't like sleeping on residential streets, but it's totally up to you what makes you feel safe. And so if having some sort of, if always having your pepper spray in your hand makes you feel safe, do that. Stuff like that. Or if always having like a whistle or something in your hand makes you feel safe, absolutely. I have those as well. P.S. Always have stuff like that. Always have, depending on your, obviously your view of weapons or whatever, but have something, even if it's pepper spray, even if it's a really, really loud whistle. I have multiple things. I have pepper spray, have a whistle. But so just for the last few minutes of this video, other things to kind of keep safe. Just really quick things, because I'm pretty sure I did a video on this like a year ago. And so I will link that. If I did, I think I did, like a how to stay safe in your car. I I think I did a video on that, so I'll link it. But just for the last few minutes of the video, I'll kind of run through some things. You can always let someone else know where you are, like a friend or family member. I wouldn't say social media, but you know, friend or family member, let someone know where you are. Always have your keys on you, always have your phone on you. Again, super important. Make sure your phone is charged. Make sure your phone is charged. Make sure your keys are in your hands. And you can do that thing where like you could hold like a key in between your fingers when you're walking, just in case, you know what I mean? Again, it's all about being as prepared as you possibly can, because there's so many things that can happen to people that are accidents, or so many things that can happen to people that honestly aren't even very preventable on your side, but there are lots of things that are preventable. And so I'm just saying, be as prepared as possible. Maybe do a little bit of research before you sleep in a place to see what the crime is like around there, or if there's other places you could sleep around there just in case that one doesn't work out. Maybe there's another truck stop in 10 minutes or somewhere else that you might feel safer close by, stuff like that. But then again, when you sleep, when you're in your car, lock your doors. Have your windows mostly up. I know that like you might want to have them open a little bit for ventilation, but then put, like I have little screens, I actually have one right here. I have a little screen that goes over the window, and so I will still open the window a little bit, but at least there's a screen over it so people cannot see me. Cover your windows and really try, especially if you're by yourself, don't let people know that you're by yourself. Because when you cover your windows, when you're parked overnight, people know that you're sleeping. Like, that's just a thing. People will know if you're at a truck stop and you have stuff covered in your windows that you're asleep in your car. However, do the best you can to not let people know that you're by yourself, or even who you are, what you look like. Try to like do your best to kind of like hide when you're walking, or like if you go into the rest stop, like maybe like don't make it super obvious what car you're getting into, or even if you do get back into your car, maybe leave for a minute and come back, stuff like that. Because again, it's different people knowing that there's someone sleeping in the car versus people knowing who is sleeping in that car, how many people are in there, how honestly, how big you are. I'm kind of like a small person. And so if someone is trying to do something really sketchy, they might see, oh, she's like this, like, you know, 5'2.5" little girl. And so I have to do what I can to protect myself and to make sure that people are not seeing me. People are not noticing who I am. People are not noticing that I'm alone. And then when I'm in my car, again, I like to park around other people just in case something happens. People will hear that whistle, or I'll be able to run and go into the store or something. But again, I've never had anything happen that has been that level of scary, where I've had to really protect myself or even use my pepper spray. Again, knock on wood. Sometimes I don't like talking about this stuff because I'm like, crap, it's gonna happen tomorrow. But yeah, I guess that's gonna be it. Just to kind of like round it off, in conclusion, living in my car is not scary to me. I just don't get scared. And I know everyone's different, and so their level of fear is different, but I am not afraid to live in my car, sleep in my car. There have only been a very, very select few times that I'm about to go to sleep and I'm kind of nervous or anxious. Like I kind of get in my head of like, oh my God, what if someone does knock on my window? You know, like I get a little in my head. And I understand why a lot of you guys think that it would be scary, or even if you've done it once or twice, you slept in a car once or twice, it might have been scary to you. But I've done it so many times, I've gotten used to it. I know what to do, I know where to go. And so that's why I kind of wanted to give you a few tips, as well as kind of talk about my only issues, which weren't even really big issues to me. But yeah, it's just overall not scary to me. And I know a lot of you guys don't understand that. And I know a lot of you guys probably even don't believe me, or you're like, what? How is that even possible? It's not scary. It's just not. It's just not scary to me. Just like some people are not afraid of spiders, which I'm so afraid of spiders. But you know what I mean? Like certain people just have certain things they enjoy, or that they're afraid of, or that they don't care about, or whatever. And so living in my car, sleeping in my car, traveling by myself just doesn't really generally scare me. Again, there's a select few times I've gotten a little nervous about it, but besides that, I've totally been fine. And so yeah, if I think of anything else, I'll put it in the description. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any other things that you do when you're sleeping or living in your car to make you feel safer. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video and learned a little bit. And thank you so much for watching. I love you, Jesus loves you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.